Oh, hi everyone. It's Emma here from Scout and Maven, Emma Archer, erstwhile recruiter for the food and beverage sector. I hope everyone's keeping safe and well, first and foremost, and staying inside. And in my mission, my quest to help people navigate these really choppy, uncertain waters while we're going through the COVID-19 crisis, I wanted to ask some experts from world of coaching and personal development to share some resources and some practical advice to help all of us. Today, I'm joined by Amanda Deer from realcoachinganddevelopment.com. Amanda was a recruiter for 20 years, which is how we first met when we were mere children. Amanda had the good sense to leave recruitment over 10 years ago, and she has been a very successful coach for small businesses ever since. She's mum to teenager Adam, a published author, and she knows her stuff. And the reason that I really like Amanda is because she has got a no BS approach. She calls a spade a spade. She shoots from the hip. She's straight talking. There's not that patronizing psychobabble that you might get from a normal coach. It's like that person to person. She keeps it real, which presumably is why she called her business Real Coaching. Just has to hazard a guess. Anyway, I've asked Amanda to come and talk to us today about how to manage teams remotely, because possibly a lot of people are doing this for the first time. And it's something that she's helping her clients to do very successfully during the COVID-19 crisis. Many of her clients are still making sales, they're increasing business and generally thriving, which you would think would be a really difficult, challenging time. And so I'm keen to hear from Amanda what she's doing, what she's saying, how she's advising her clients, particularly how they're managing their teams to make this kind of impact and how that they are being successful during this difficult time. So without further ado, I'm going to pass you over to Amanda.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Emma. A resounding introduction then. Now I've got quite a lot to live up to, which is always a challenge. So as Emma said, I'm Amanda. I've been working with people for my whole career, and probably when I look back on my life, I really have been coaching people for my whole life, but it's just been in different guises, wearing different hats. And Emma's really kindly invited me on to talk about what it's like managing a team when your team have gone from being like this and really either physically together as well as mentally together and moving forward in the same direction, suddenly to be splintered off. Now, often with big national companies and international companies, they have all of this stuff in place. So it's normally one or two people in a team, perhaps, that are working remotely and everybody else works from an office. And that's certainly the sort of clients that I'm working with. Working from home for the first time is probably one of the most daunting things that you will do in your career, because you've just never done it before. So you have your own personal giddiness of working from home, of, well, I can get up when I want, I can start work when I want, I can finish when I like, I can do all of those really cool things that I really like doing, and all the stuff I don't really like doing, I can just kind of avoid. So we have that personal giddiness, and then we have the third party giddiness, which is often a parent, a child, or a spouse who will just say things like, while you're working from home, could you put the washing out, put the dinner on, look after a dog, collect a delivery, pop to the post office and post 17 items. Now, we're in a very different world at the moment, but the principles stay the same. So when you're working from home, ensure that you're starting at the same time every day. Ensure that you are finishing at the same time every day. And the finish time is more important because it's very easy for time to drift when you're working from home anyway. And communicate with your office. A, let them know that you're actually working, and B, find out that everybody's okay. Now, from a management point of view, that's slightly different. So from you're getting your guys to work from home, get them to have a fixed start time, a fixed finish time, make sure they have a break. No one works solidly for 10 hours a day. I don't care who you are, no one does. So if you would have, I don't know, a break at 11 o'clock, if someone would have a break at 11 o'clock to go and have a coffee and then have a lunch and then have another break in the afternoon, if that's a structure that you run in your business, then stick to it. If you are more fluid than that, then just make sure your people are having a break. So as a manager of a remote team, consistency in your communication is absolutely key. So you can use different methods of communication, and the more that you can use, actually the better it becomes, because it doesn't look like a thing. You know, as managers of people, the last thing that we want really is for people to think, oh, it's 11 o'clock, it's time for my feel good call with my line manager, because it doesn't feel good. It feels very contrived, it feels very planned. So again, looking at consistency, I would suggest a team meeting once a day on Zoom or WhatsApp or anything. It doesn't have to be, you know, everyone's got to go and spend lots of money on technology, and Zoom is being fantastic at the moment. I'm really impressed with that. WhatsApp video calling is really, really good as well. Facebook Messenger calling can work really well, because remember, some of the people that you've got suddenly working remotely, frankly, you wouldn't have them working remotely if there was a choice. They might not be tech savvy people particularly. So it could be really, really important to make it the most simple thing as possible. Now, I always suggest the team meeting would happen in the morning, around an hour after the time that you would normally start. So we'll assume a 9 o'clock start time. So 10 o'clock, everyone jumps on Zoom and has a, 15 minutes. It doesn't have to be a long time. This kind of working and communication can feel really intense, and it's not a who we're going to give a bollocking today to. It's like, right, what's in the plan, what we're doing, who's doing what, everybody all right, cool, right, any problems, let me know, let them get on with their day. The one-to-one communication is different. So one-to-one communication could be telephone calls, it could be further Zoom stuff, it could just be a random text message at about 12:30 reminding somebody to have lunch because they happen to mention to you they didn't have lunch a couple of days ago. I think probably my biggest tip for managers is please keep an eye on your extroverts. And extroverts are the ones, you'll know the extroverts because they're the ones who are, normally Mr. Jazz Hands in the office, they're excited, they're people, they're always organising time out and evenings out and stuff. They are the extroverted people. Extroverted people are not okay. They are not used to being on their own. They find it incredibly difficult to be on their own. Someone said to me recently that she feels like she's been planning for this for her whole life. She describes herself as an introverted overthinker. And her actual words were, I'm fine, I've been working towards this shit for years, I know exactly what I'm doing. And it's so interesting to see how different people are acting and reacting to this. So as a manager, you can keep a record of this, and you should. This is not about productivity. This is about you having almost like a daily checklist that you go through with your team on the one-to-one call time that you're going to be kind of putting in place for them. Now, I do accountability calls with my clients every week, and they're 15 minutes long. So they're not huge, big, elongated phone calls, but they're really well planned. So what did you achieve yesterday? What are you doing today? What are you planning to do tomorrow? How are you feeling? How are the kids? Have you killed anyone yet? Whatever you want to put and however you want to create this kind of key. So I've got one client in particular who is talking about motivation, working towards bonuses that will be available when people go back to work, and they're being really structured in their day as well as to what they're expecting people to do. I have a completely separate client who has a team of 5 people, and she's not really recording the activity side of what they're doing, because she knows they're getting on with it, or she can see it from the system anyway, so she knows that they're getting on with it. So the only thing that she is recording is the motivation level of somebody, not just their motivation around work, but just kind of their general motivation level. She's also looking at their level of happiness and their level of joy. And one of the things that she's started to do is she's created a WhatsApp group for her team, and they all have to find something joyous in the day to take a picture of and put on that WhatsApp group. So, you know, she's getting feathers and rivers and toadstools, and then someone put a big invoice up because they've done a really big sale. So there's no rules to this kind of stuff. And understanding that as the manager of a team, it's your responsibility. It's your responsibility to make sure that your team are more than okay. Because, and Emma will testify to this, that there'll be there's either a lot of recruiters trying to keep going, or there's a lot of recruiters biding their time, because as soon as we start to come out of this, the people that have not been treated well by their employers will be losing staff left, right and centre, because that's the first thing that happens when we're recovering from something big. So as the manager, don't send your team emails after 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Just don't. There is nothing that is that important, because if you're saying to people, don't work in the evenings, don't work at weekends, go and get some fresh air, and you're emailing at 10 o'clock at night, if they've got their emails on like 4 different devices and it's pinging all over the place, and B, people will feel that it's expected, but they'll also think that it's okay to contact you at 10 o'clock at night. And as the manager of people, you need decompression time as well. So creating that checklist can be really useful, one in isolation. So if I rang Emma tomorrow, if I rang you tomorrow and went through everything, I would get a picture of how you're feeling. But pictures aren't actually any good. But if you put 5 weeks of these forms together, then you have more of a film, you have more of a working understanding of what your team members' patterns are. This is going to help you massively when everyone gets back to work, because people aren't really talking about that yet. They're not talking about the impact of going back to work. You know, at least you'll be able to sit with your team members and say, look, as a general rule, you're really, really positive, but what I've noticed is kind of Thursdays aren't great for you.
Yeah.
Now, so we'll test and measure that in the first couple of months of being back to work, but it could well be that you don't work on a Thursday morning. You know, there will be really interesting things that come out of this. You know, having a WhatsApp group that isn't really about work can be massively useful, because that is where you can have your water cooler moments. That's where you can share a funny picture or a picture of a feather or something, because those are the things that we miss. Now, I've been working for myself since 2008, and it's hard. It's hard when there's no one else around. There's no one to talk to you about a particular job that you're working on, or a new client that you've got, or, you know, what was on TV last night, and you know, understanding that there are kind of pressure cookers everywhere. Now, as somebody who's worked from home for a long time, as you have, we forget the things that we had to do at the very start. Like, I still used to put my suit on and actually go to work, because we need to find ways of getting used to this. As managers, it is vital that you retain the choice of who is remaining in your team as you move forward as a business, because a massive time of change for everyone. I'm not suggesting that we start binning people off, because that's just not good at any time, but moving forward with a really strong, coherent team is going to be the difference that makes the difference for businesses. It really is a coherent team of people that, and I am going to do a swear, I've been quite good, but people who genuinely give a shit about the businesses that they work for. And that's what's really singing out to me. And I am hearing some horror stories. I am hearing of people that are getting sacked, and companies that are completely changing their business model, because, hey, it's a good excuse, isn't it? It's a good excuse right now to do some stuff like that.
Well, I think that we were talking about it before we came on air, really, about how we treat each other during this crisis is just going to be fundamental to how we move forward, and what your business is going to look like moving forward. Because I think the most important thing I feel in this time is to be kind to people. Excuse the dog by the side, working from home. I think, how people feel, how you make people feel. There's that Maya Angelou quote, isn't there? That people will forget what you've done, they will forget what you've said, but they will never forget how you make them feel. And I think that is absolutely paramount at the moment. I loved what you had to say about, that checking in, because I think safeguarding people, especially salespeople, because by our very nature, we're extrovert, we're peacocks, we're herd animals. We like to be in a team environment where we're the center of attention, or at least we're getting some attention, we're showing off, all that kind of stuff. And to have to shrink, which is what we're doing, into isolated and tight environment is really difficult to get used to. So I loved what you were having to say about how people can kind of checking in, not putting on too much pressure, keeping things simple. Hallelujah. Because, I'm not a techno expert. In fact, I'm a technophobe. I hate anything technical. I've got to keep things simple. And I think by leading the way as a manager or a business owner, by saying, look, this is how things are going to go. They're going to be really simple. We're going to keep things really short and sweet. I think that just, again, is going to contribute towards people feeling safe, and feeling supported, and feeling mentally well, which is really what this is all about.
Absolutely. And it's also about everybody knowing and understanding what the expectations are. The expectations from the manager, the business owner, the members of the team. What are those expectations? We live in a world where apparently we don't want any rules, yet everyone wants to be told what to do. It's a really interesting environment at the moment. There's a huge amount of confusion as to what we can't do, when we can't do it. And we just need to understand that it is going to take time. We don't know how long we're going to be like this for. No one does. A lot of people want to know, but we all, there's a lot of things in this world that we don't know, and that's okay. All we can do, to coin a phrase that will probably take Emma back about 20 years as well, is to control the controllables.
Control the controllables,
all we can do.
Control the controllables, keep things in one day, and ultimately, we're not in control anyway. I think, we like to think as human beings we're in control. We're not. Actually, all we've got is this moment. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. We like to think we know what's going to happen tomorrow, but I think it's because it's uncharted territory for a lot of people. Not everybody's had the benefit of all the coaching development that we've had over the years, and the personal stuff that we've done. And I think that's why a coach like you is so invaluable to a business owner or to a manager, because I think you can shed the light on how to do this, how to keep people engaged, but also happy and productive, while going, stabbing in the dark, really, or just sort of going through in the dark.
Absolutely. And the big thing that I do for business owners and senior managers is probably the most simple thing in the world, and that's that I'm there. because the one thing, you know, just take COVID-19 away for a second, the one thing a managing director can't do is go and sit in the canteen of his own business and go, oh, it's a bit shit this week, lads. I don't think we're going to be paying, don't think we're going to be paying anyone, because, you know, business owners have those fears as well, and it doesn't matter what your turnover level is or what your profit level is. It doesn't matter. We still have those thoughts and feelings. So some people call me their unreasonable friend. Some people call me something a lot more flowery and characterful like that. But fundamentally, people use coaches to move them beyond the point of where they would normally stop. So it's kind of challenge, motivation, support, all of those sorts of things. But actually, it is also that support. It is also a hand to hold. It is also somebody saying to them, it's going to be okay. Because it's incredibly, you know, like any business, the top of the triangle where the managing director sits, he's the only one there. He hasn't got anyone at his side. So that's why coaching works, because it gives that support. And, you know, what I offer is quite an eclectic mix, because I've done a lot of things. I've done a lot of things in my life. I don't particularly like badges, but it's something that some coaches hang their hats on. I don't feel I need to. So the one kind of final bit of advice that I would give to anybody who is looking for a coach for anything, whether it is for your business, for your life, what for your relationships, it doesn't matter. One question that you can ask any coach, and if they can't answer it, or they try and sidestep it, then move along. And that question is, who coaches you?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think that is just vital, isn't it? And I think that any decent practitioner has got to be having a coach or an accountability partner or something. So
absolutely, because we all have to decompress, and that's the biggest challenge for all of us as highly motivated entrepreneurs, is how the hell do we slow down? We have to force ourselves doing it to do it. So I've been doing some stuff on Facebook at the back end of last week, and I'll catch everybody up tomorrow. This weekend is my actively lazy weekend. So thank you for doing this afternoon, because I've actually had to brush my hair, put makeup on and get dressed.
Well, thank you, Amanda. It's been great.
And that's the first time I've got dressed since Friday. Hooray!
There was so much in that. There's a wealth of information. I'm going to have to go back and watch it again. But as I said, the things that stood out for me is keeping things simple, checking in. I know that you've got so much more advice and resources that you can offer people. So
absolutely,
links at the bottom of this
perfect
video.
Thank you.
Links to your website, to your LinkedIn, so people can reach out, get in touch with you. And I know that you offer a free initial consultation just to give people the opportunity to touch base with you, get a feel for what you offer, and then whether or not, you know, it's something that they feel is going to help them. But
absolutely,
yeah. I'm just so grateful for your time. It's great to see you again.
And you.
We'll stay in touch. So we'll end it there. Stay safe, everybody. Stay at home. Keep washing your hands. And the more we do that, the sooner this is all going to be over. So thanks, Amanda.
Thank you.
For everybody. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.